It's that time of year when we gather together with our family and friends to exchange kind wishes and wrapped gifts. It's a time to sing the songs and play the games we've played since we were children. As you drive and fly and flee your way through the December snows, your mind turns back to all those Christmas mornings and all of the people who have played with you. We play so many games. Some of us are lucky when it comes to such things. Others, well, others are merely brought along for the ride. Welcome to episode 8 of Not Now, Not Here. In this week's episode, a man must come to terms with his unluckiness. All Chase can remember are the bad times, the losses and the hurts he has suffered, the death and the pain that have been his to carry. It is only when he receives a mysterious note in his mailbox that Chase begins to understand. In every game, there must be a winner. In every game, someone must be the loser. So turn down the lights, close your windows and doors, and sit back. Prepare to enter a world that is not now, not here. You're it. To say that Chase was jealous of the little girl wouldn't have been entirely accurate. Well, now that he thought about it, maybe he was. Chase was jealous of the girl. Actually, he was jealous of everybody, but mostly it was her. He called her Tree Girl because she was always sitting in a tree. Who did that? Who sat in a tree like that without a care in the world? All Chase had were cares. Cares stacked on top of worries. He couldn't even remember the last time he'd felt carefree or relaxed. The first time he'd seen Tree Girl several months ago, he'd felt momentary happiness, like the brief flash of a camera flooding light into his chest. The second, third, and fourth times had been good as well, though not as bright. After that, the feeling he got seeing Tree Girl had descended into shadow. Doesn't she have anything else to do, he wondered. Every day, unless it was raining, she was there, in the park, sitting in that same tree. Once he'd watched her for more than an hour. She smiled and hummed and played with leaves. She climbed from branch to branch like a squirrel, and when the sun went down and her mother called, the little girl scrambled down the trunk and ran away, chirping. Actually chirping. Watching her, Chase realized he'd never been like the Tree Girl. The ability children have to forget their worry and scramble up a tree was something that had abandoned him long ago. In place of that ability had grown fear and resentment and unluckiness. Chase didn't know anybody who was as unlucky as he was. Looking back on his life, Chase realized that tragedy had dotted his calendar the same way others' calendars were dotted with holidays. Instead of Christmas, Chase lost his job. Instead of Thanksgiving, Chase got a divorce. Instead of Independence Day, his cousin died in a car accident. After a while, all Chase could do was laugh. It was a hopeless, desperate laugh, teetering close to insanity. He laughed when his apartment caught fire. He laughed when he broke his wrist falling down on the sidewalk. He laughed when a tire fell off his car on the highway. What else was there to do? Anything that life had given him was being taken away, and all Chase could do was watch. It wasn't as if he could just climb a tree and forget that he didn't have a job, didn't have a car, and was sleeping in a burnt-out shell of an apartment. To top it off, one day he found a note in his mailbox. It was written on a small piece of paper about the size of a postcard, folded neatly down the middle. On it was written, "Nobody wants anything to do with you." There was no postmark. The note had been handwritten and hand-delivered. Under the words, there was a phone number. Great, Chase thought. There's nothing else for life to take away from me, so now I get random insults in the mail. The following day, there was another note exactly like the first, but with different words. You will lose everything you care about. The day after that, another one. All your friends flee from you. The next day was a Sunday, so there was no mail, but Chase got a note anyway. No woman will ever touch you. At the bottom of each note was the phone number, a local number. It wasn't until the fourth note that Chase finally called it, and even then it wasn't because the notes were so, accurate. It was because Chase wanted to ask, beg if need be, the person to stop, to let him wallow in his own misery without a daily reminder of how bad everything was. Before making the phone call, Chase had been pacing in his apartment. He did this when he tried to call someone, because usually no one answered. This time, he walked out of his apartment and down onto the street as he dialed the number on his cell phone. He pressed the phone to his ear hard, because his hearing, like his eyesight, was getting worse and worse.
Hello?
A woman said. Yeah, hi, Chase said. You've been leaving me notes. The woman at the other end didn't answer immediately.
I wondered if you'd call.
Do I know you? Chase asked.
No.
The woman said. Have I done something to offend you?
No.
In that case, Chase said, I wanted to ask if you wouldn't mind, stopping with the whole note thing. It's not that I mind, you see. It's just that my girlfriend is feeling a little threatened by them. She's afraid to even go anywhere near the mailbox now, thanks to your little prank.
You don't have a girlfriend.
Yes, I do, Chase said defensively. She's walking right next to me.
Let me talk to her.
Listen, I don't feel comfortable...
You don't have a girlfriend. You probably don't have any friends.
Whatever, Chase said. I'm only calling to ask you to stop leaving notes in my mailbox.
Of course,
said the woman.
What's your name?
Chase turned a corner on the street, walking away from his apartment. You're leaving me terrible notes and you don't even know who I am? What kind of person does that?
I saw you.
The woman said.
I saw you on the sidewalk, and I followed you to your apartment about a week ago. Your name wasn't on your mailbox, though.
I don't think I want to tell you my name.
Fine. My name is Terry.
Great. Nice to meet you. Now stop leaving me awful notes.
I will, of course. As long as you talk to me first.
But why would I want to talk to you?
I have something important to tell you.
Terry said.
Believe me, you'll want to hear it.
I don't believe you, and I don't want to hear it. As long as you say you won't be leaving me any more notes, I'll just say goodbye and...
When was the last time you touched anyone?
Excuse me?
When was the last time you touched anyone? Physically.
Chase scoffed loudly. Are you asking me about sex? He asked. Terry laughed.
No, I'm talking about simple physical contact. Shaking hands, hugging, giving a high five, like that. When was the last time you touched anyone?
I touch people all the time, Chase said.
Tell the truth.
I am. I shake hands every time I meet a new person.
But you haven't met any new people, have you? Your friends have left you. You've lost your job. People in your family move away or die. You're sick all the time, and you're always sad.
Chase didn't say anything.
I'm right, aren't I? Ask yourself how I, a perfect stranger, could know all those things about you, because it's important that you believe me. Are you outside? I hear cars.
Yes, Chase said softly.
On a sidewalk? Have you brushed shoulders with anyone? Accidentally stumbled into anybody? Look at the people around you. Are they getting out of your way?
The sidewalk wasn't crowded, but Chase could see that people, all the people, were stepping to the side when he approached. Even old people and children. They didn't actually look at him, but they would step away as if he had an invisible, protective bubble all around him. Blocks away, Chase could see that people were even crossing to the other side of the street to avoid him. Yeah, Chase said.
They are getting out of your way, aren't they? They don't get near you.
It's a strange thing to look back on your life and realize a plain truth that has been staring you in the face. How had he not noticed this? When he had been fired, his old boss had refused to shake his hand. Before his wife had left him, she'd abruptly moved out and refused any sort of hug or peck on the cheek. In fact, his ex-wife had gone out of her way not to be in the same room with him. When his cousin died, his family had shied away from his hugs or pats on the back. At the funeral, he sat alone in his own pew. He couldn't remember touching a single person in years.
My grandma told me about a curse. Years ago, when I was a little girl, I never believed it until I saw you on a crowded sidewalk last week, and then I knew it was real. My grandmother told me the truth.
I'm cursed, Chase said with resignation. He knew it was true. It was obvious now that he thought about it.
Listen, I don't know everything about this curse. I just know what my grandma told me. It's an ancient curse, as old as humanity. One person at a time in all of the human race has this curse. It's always been this way, down through the centuries. When the curse is on you, your luck turns. You lose at everything. Every game of chance, everything you care about. If we went to a casino right now, I could make $1 billion by just betting against you, because you would lose at every turn.
But why? Chase said. Why me?
I don't know why. I don't know how it started either. I just knew when I passed you on the street and felt the urge to get away from you. I knew you had the curse. Like my grandma told me when I was little, the cursed person scares away everything, especially perfect strangers. We all feel the urge to get away from you, to run away if need be.
Chase stopped walking and found himself standing in the middle of a busy sidewalk. The other people walking on the sidewalk took great care to stay 2 or 3 feet away from him at all times. He was a leper, a pariah, an untouchable. How do I get rid of it? He asked. Can the curse be lifted? Is there any way, a witch doctor or something, who can remove it?
No witch doctor can remove it.
Terry explained.
The curse can't be erased. Somebody always has to have it.
So what? I'm just stuck with this curse forever? It didn't seem fair. But, then again, was anything fair in Chase's life?
It can't be erased,
Terry said.
but there is a way. My grandma told me. She told me in case I was ever cursed myself.
After Terry told him, Chase hung up his phone. He stood in the middle of the sidewalk and laughed. It was a beautiful day outside. He supposed he should have been angry at the curse. Angry at the one who'd cursed him. Angry at not realizing he was cursed in the first place. Maybe he should have been sad. He'd lost so much over the years, and he didn't know if there was a way to get any of it back. Maybe he should have been happy. After all, Terry had told him how to lift the curse and rid himself of these troubles. But he couldn't be angry or sad or happy. Instead, he was tired. Desperately, unrelentingly tired. He walked all afternoon without realizing where he was going. When he finally stopped, he found himself in the park. He sat down, feeling a tired ache in all his limbs. Curses are heavy things. Carrying one, especially for so long, takes its toll. Chase closed his eyes. There was a calm breeze. Children were running and playing catch nearby. In the distance, he heard a voice call out, "Dinner time." He heard an answering voice from above him. "Mister, can you get out of the way? I'd like to get down." Chase was sitting with his back against a tree. From the branches above, a girl, a cute, carefree little girl, looked down at him. Tree girl. "You like this tree, don't you?" Chase said, standing up. "I see you up there all the time." She watched him from above, her eyebrows wrinkled with worry. "Could you move, mister?" "I live right over there," Chase said. "We're practically neighbors. My name is Chase. What's yours?" She looked like she wasn't going to answer, but eventually she said, "Nancy." "Nice to meet you, Nancy." From far away, a woman called "Dinner time" again. Nancy shifted uncomfortably in the tree. "Is that your mother? I suppose you have to go home now, don't you? Here, let me help you down." Nancy didn't move. Her mouth formed a frown. "Well, come on then," Chase said, smiling and reaching his arms up for her. "You don't want to make your mother angry, do you?" Nancy groaned slightly. Then she positioned herself on the branch, getting ready to jump down. Chase laughed as he caught her, grabbing her by the waist and lowering her ever so gently to the ground. "Tag," he said. That brings us to the end of this week's episode. We hope you found it as jolly to hear as we found it to make. Be sure to tune in next time for another merry installment. This week's episode features music by Kevin MacLeod. The songs Industrial Music Box, Dopplerette, and On the Shore are used under the Creative Commons license and can be found at incompetech.com. You can also visit notnownothere.com for more information about the music, including legal information and links to all the songs you've just heard. Other music was provided by jewelbeat.com. Both of these sites are great if you need music for any projects you are working on. The various atmospheres you heard on this week's episode were created using ambientmixer.com. That's ambient-mixer.com. Other ambient sounds came from the site freesound.org. For a list of all the sounds used and information about the Creative Commons license, please visit notnownothere.com. This podcast is written and performed by Phillip Kohtz. If you like any of the stories you hear on the show, you can read them or download them for free online. You can find all of the stories published in a variety of digital formats, corresponding artwork, poetry, our blog, and also news about future releases at notnownothere.com. You can also find us on Twitter, and probably other places. We don't know, we're still new at this. As ever, if you like what we're doing, please spread the word and be sure to stop by our site and give us your feedback. We'd love to hear your thoughts, opinions, criticisms, and ideas. This episode marks the end of the first short story collection entitled And They Are Many. We'll be back in January with more new stories from the next collection, Their Masters Stare. Until then, happy holidays to all, and may the winds be ever at your back.